Imagine for a moment that money was never something you had to chase, but something that chased you. What if prosperity wasn't about struggle or sacrifice, but about unlocking a hidden law that has always been working in your favor? Tonight, I'm going to reveal the secret to endless financial growth. A secret not found in banks, not in markets, but deep within your own consciousness. Prosperity is aligned with, not earned, because the nature of abundance is spiritual, not material. Many people believe that wealth must be fought for, struggled over, and painfully built, but this belief only tightens the chains of limitation. The truth is that prosperity begins in consciousness, in the hidden inner world where thoughts and beliefs dwell. When a person feels aligned with the infinite source of supply, wealth flows with ease, just as water flows downhill without resistance. Struggle is born from separation, from the belief that one must grasp at scraps and compete with others, but alignment knows no such effort. It is the recognition that all supply is already present, waiting for the right channel to express itself. Imagine two individuals standing before the same opportunity. One is filled with fear, convinced that hard labor is the only way forward, burdened by worry and mistrust. The other stands calmly, knowing that life is abundant and that every need has already been met in the unseen. Though both take action, the one who is aligned finds doors opening, support arriving, and results multiplying with ease, while the other labors with strain, always feeling there is never enough. The difference is not in skill or intelligence, but in consciousness, for prosperity responds not to force, but to faith. When we align with abundance, we move into harmony with universal law. Just as a seed naturally grows when placed in the soil and given light, our desires for wealth naturally unfold when rooted in belief and nourished by expectation. Struggle is unnecessary, just as no farmer tugs on a seed to make it grow. He trusts the invisible process, knowing that life itself ensures the harvest. In the same way, those who align with prosperity trust the invisible forces at work, knowing that supply flows where belief and affirmation have prepared the way. Earning, as the world defines it, suggests toil and sacrifice, a sense that value must be proven or deserved. But alignment whispers a different truth, that you are already worthy of abundance simply because you exist. You do not earn the sunlight, yet it shines on you. You do not earn the air, yet it fills your lungs freely. In the same way, you do not earn prosperity. It is your inheritance. To align is to claim it with confidence, to release the belief that money and success are only for a few. Alignment opens the channel, allowing wealth to circulate toward you and through you without resistance. This alignment is not laziness, nor is it passivity. It is inspired action flowing from faith rather than fear, joyful movement rather than desperate striving. When one is aligned with prosperity, work becomes expression rather than burden, and effort multiplies results instead of draining the spirit. Life becomes a dance with abundance, a rhythm of giving and receiving, a partnership with the unseen source that supplies endlessly. And in this state, prosperity ceases to feel like something chased after, and instead becomes something natural, constant, and inevitable, like the rising of the sun each morning. Words create reality because every spoken declaration sends out vibrations that shape circumstances, events, and conditions in life. Many people speak carelessly, unaware that their words are seeds planted in the fertile ground of the universe. A seed does not question whether it will grow. It simply responds to the environment in which it is placed. In the same way, words carry within them the power to take root and manifest. When someone repeatedly says, "I never have enough," they are planting the seed of lack, and soon life mirrors that belief with experiences of shortage. When one speaks, "I am always provided for," and abundance surrounds me. That seed calls forth opportunities, provision, and financial flow that align with those affirmations. The tongue can be an instrument of creation or destruction, a fountain of wealth or a source of poverty. People often underestimate the spiritual law behind speech, thinking words are fleeting or empty. Yet words are energy, clothed in sound, charged with intention, and they return multiplied to their source. To speak fear, doubt, or failure is to invite them into form. To speak wealth, joy, and prosperity is to command them into existence. The universe is impartial. It reflects what is spoken with conviction, whether positive or negative, for it is bound by law to produce after its kind. When one begins to guard their words and choose them deliberately, life transforms. Affirmations such as money flows to me in perfect ways, or I am aligned with infinite abundance, are not wishful thinking, but spiritual decrees that shift reality. Spoken with faith and repetition, they build a magnetic field around the individual, drawing resources, opportunities, and helpful people. The spoken word carves out channels through which prosperity can pour. Just as water finds its way along the grooves carved in the earth, abundance finds its way along the grooves carved by speech. Negative speech, however, creates blockages that repel wealth. Complaining about bills, speaking of debts, or declaring that money is hard to come by keeps the flow of supply constricted. Each complaint is like a stone placed in the river of abundance, slowing its movement. Yet the moment one shifts language to gratitude and expectation, the stones are removed, and the current begins to rush again. Gratitude spoken aloud multiplies blessings because it recognizes the good already present and calls forth more of it. The ancient truth that words hold power has been taught in countless ways across time, but it is most easily proven by personal experience. Observe how circumstances shift when you begin to speak only in harmony with the prosperity you desire. Make every word a declaration of abundance, and soon the outer world reshapes to match the inner decree. The law cannot fail, for words are the architects of destiny, and each utterance is a blueprint for what must inevitably appear. Desire for wealth is divine guidance because it is not born from selfishness, but from the inner knowing that life is meant to expand. Every desire is a signal, a whisper from the unseen, showing you the path of growth and expression that is already written into your being. To want more is not greed. It is alignment with the natural law of increase. A tree stretches upward, a river widens its course, the stars expand their reach across the cosmos, and humanity, too, is designed to seek greater expressions of abundance. When a desire for financial growth arises, it is life itself nudging you to step into a fuller measure of prosperity, not only for yourself, but for all those who will be touched by the blessings you circulate. Many people have been taught to feel guilt over wanting wealth, as if money were something unspiritual or unworthy. Yet, what is money but the circulation of energy, a symbol of exchange, a tool that allows love, service, and creativity to be expressed on a greater scale? To desire wealth is to desire the means by which you can expand your influence, provide comfort, support causes close to your heart, and become a channel through which abundance flows. The desire itself is evidence that you are ready to step into a larger role in the divine plan, for you would not have the vision if the way to fulfill it were not also possible. When you recognize desire as guidance, you stop resisting it and begin to listen deeply to what it is pointing toward. Instead of labeling the urge for more as greed, you see it as a compass directing you to your next level of growth. The desire for financial increase may inspire you to develop your talents, open a business, serve others in new ways, or take bold steps of faith that you would not have considered before. Each of these steps is part of the unfolding journey that the desire itself initiated. Without desire, there would be no motion. With desire, the path is illuminated. Consider how life itself functions. Nature never apologizes for increase. The rose does not feel guilt for blooming fully, nor does the ocean apologize for its vastness. Expansion is the law of the universe, and so it is with human beings. To feel the pull toward wealth is to be reminded that you, too, are meant to expand, to step into more, to live in a state of overflowing supply. When you follow this guidance without fear or shame, you find that the way clears before you, opportunities open, and what once seemed impossible becomes natural. Every desire carries within it the seed of fulfillment, and your role is to trust that it was placed within you for a reason. When you honor the desire for wealth as divine instruction rather than a selfish craving, you align yourself with the law of increase and allow abundance to flow without resistance. Desire is proof that the supply already exists in the unseen, waiting to manifest through your faith, your words, and your willingness to receive. Supply is infinite and ever flowing because the source from which it comes is boundless and eternal. Many imagine that resources are limited, that there is only so much wealth to go around, but such thinking is born of appearances, not truth. Look at the stars scattered across the heavens, the grains of sand along the shore, the drops of water in the ocean. Life demonstrates over and over that abundance has no end. The same principle applies to money and opportunity, for they are simply channels through which the greater abundance of the universe expresses itself. When one door closes, another appears, and when one stream dries up, another flows forth, because supply is not tied to a single job, investment, or person. It is a river that never ceases, and those who understand this live without fear of lack. Fear whispers that opportunities are scarce, that wealth is reserved only for a chosen few, but faith knows the truth that the universe is constantly generating more than enough for every being. Just as the sun shines without rationing its rays, so does supply pour itself into the lives of those who are open to receive. The river of prosperity does not ask whether someone is worthy. It simply flows, seeking open channels through which it can circulate. When a person closes themselves off with doubt, fear, or negative belief, they build dams in the river, but the supply itself has not diminished. It waits patiently for the channel to reopen. To recognize the infinite nature of supply is to release anxiety about tomorrow. Worry is born from the illusion that there may not be enough, yet life proves the opposite daily. Consider how the earth renews itself season after season, how fruit grows again on the tree, how rain falls again after drought. The pattern of renewal is woven into existence, a reminder that what seems to be lost is always restored, often in greater measure. In the same way, money that is spent returns, and resources that are shared multiply, because circulation is the very nature of abundance. When individuals trust in infinite supply, they loosen their grip on possessions and release the fear of loss. They begin to give freely, knowing that what goes out must return multiplied. This act of faith keeps the current moving, ensuring that the river never stagnates. Hoarding, on the other hand, comes from a belief in limitation, and it disrupts the flow, creating the very scarcity one fears. Generosity aligns with the law of circulation, while fear of loss resists it. To live in harmony with supply is to act as a channel, open to both receiving and giving, confident that the flow is endless. The truth of infinite supply brings peace because it reminds you that no matter what happens in the outer world, the inner source is untouched and unexhausted. Jobs may change, markets may shift, relationships may end, but the essence of supply is eternal. Those who know this live securely, not because they hold tightly to wealth, but because they know wealth itself is inexhaustible and always seeking new ways to reach them. Faith opens doors, fear blocks growth, because the state of mind you carry shapes the experiences that come to meet you. Faith is expansive. It lifts the heart, clears the vision, and creates pathways where none seem to exist. Fear contracts. It narrows vision, paralyzes action, and builds barriers that prevent progress. When you look at life through the eyes of faith, you expect good, and because you expect it, opportunities arise that match your expectation. When you view life through the lens of fear, you anticipate loss, and your very anticipation becomes the magnet that draws difficulty. Both are creative forces, and the one you choose will determine whether you walk into abundance or remain stuck in limitation. Faith does not deny challenges, but it refuses to bow to them. It knows that behind every apparent obstacle lies a hidden blessing, a new door waiting to open. Person who lives by faith sees opportunities in places others overlook, while fear-driven minds only see walls. Faith-driven minds see gateways. Faith has the courage to take steps when the outcome is uncertain, trusting that provision will appear along the way. In contrast, fear demands guarantees before moving, and in waiting for certainty, it blocks the flow of life and growth remains stagnant. Fear creates an atmosphere of lack. It whispers that there is not enough to go around, that failure is inevitable, that one wrong move will lead to ruin. This mindset closes off creativity, dulls intuition, and limits the ability to recognize opportunity. Fear blinds the eyes to the resources already present, while faith sharpens vision and reveals abundance that was overlooked. Faith speaks words of expectation. I am guided, I am provided for, I am secure, and life responds in kind. Fear speaks words of doubt. I cannot, I will fail, I lack, and life mirrors back the very conditions spoken. The secret to financial growth lies in choosing faith even when appearances seem unfavorable. Many great successes began with nothing but a spark of faith, a belief that something greater was possible. That belief carried the individual through uncertainty until results appeared in tangible form. Fear, on the other hand, has buried countless dreams before they had the chance to bloom, convincing people to settle for less, to avoid risk, to stay small. Faith expands, fear contracts. Faith opens doors, fear locks them shut. Living by faith requires trust in an unseen order, a knowing that life supports those who dare to move forward. It allows you to step boldly into opportunities, to invest in your gifts, to speak abundance into existence, and to act as though success is already yours. This attitude magnetizes resources, connections, and circumstances that align with your vision. Fear waits for proof and remains empty-handed, but faith acts as proof itself, creating the evidence it once longed to see. Endless growth is more than money, because true prosperity cannot be measured by numbers alone. Wealth in its highest form includes joy, peace, love, health, creativity, and the fulfillment of purpose. Money is only one channel through which abundance expresses itself, but if it is pursued without the balance of inner riches, it often leaves the soul unfulfilled. A person may have a vast fortune yet remain restless, anxious, or lonely, while another may possess modest means but live in harmony, radiating contentment and gratitude. The difference lies in recognizing that abundance is multidimensional, flowing through every aspect of life rather than being confined to financial gain. When growth is understood only in terms of money, it becomes fragile, dependent on external conditions that can shift overnight. Markets rise and fall, currencies fluctuate, and opportunities come and go. but the deeper wealth of the spirit remains steady. Joy is wealth because it elevates the heart no matter what circumstances appear. Peace is wealth because it allows you to move through life with calm assurance. Love is wealth because it binds relationships, inspires generosity, and multiplies blessings in ways money cannot purchase. To embrace endless growth is to welcome all of these dimensions of prosperity, not as separate from financial wealth, but as the foundation that allows it to flow with ease and purpose. A life filled with money but empty of peace is a life of constant striving, but a life filled with peace will naturally attract the resources needed to maintain balance. Endless growth means expansion in all directions: spiritual, emotional, relational, and material. Each supports the other, creating a state of wholeness that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. When your inner life is abundant, your outer life begins to reflect that abundance, for the outer world is always a mirror of the inner state. Many people chase money believing it alone will bring security, yet security is found in faith and alignment with the infinite source. Money may bring temporary comfort, but it cannot guarantee lasting peace. Lasting peace flows from knowing you are always supported, regardless of appearances. Endless growth recognizes that prosperity is a river that nourishes every part of life, not a single stream tied only to financial accounts. It flows into creativity, giving you new ideas and inspiration. It flows into health, providing energy to enjoy your blessings. It flows into relationships, surrounding you with people who uplift and support you. When you begin to see prosperity as more than money, you shift from survival into true living. You recognize that your worth is not measured by possessions, but by the richness of your experience. From this perspective, money becomes a servant rather than a master, a tool rather than an idol. It flows freely because it is no longer burdened with the task of providing everything. Endless growth becomes a balanced state of expansion where every dimension of life flourishes together in harmony, creating a fullness that cannot be diminished by circumstance. Wealth must circulate because prosperity is not meant to be hoarded, but to flow like a river, moving from one hand to another, blessing all it touches, and returning multiplied to its source. When money is withheld in fear, it stagnates, losing its vitality and its power to expand. But when money is used with faith, generosity, and joy, it continues to grow because it obeys the universal law of circulation. Just as blood must flow through the body to sustain life, so must wealth flow through society to remain alive and increase. The one who gives freely, with trust that supply is infinite, finds that more always returns, while the one who clings tightly out of fear discovers that what they hold diminishes. Circulation is a divine principle observable in all of nature. The oceans send forth water to the skies return it as rain, and the cycle continues without end. If the sea refused to release its water, the world would suffer drought, but in its willingness to circulate, life is sustained everywhere. Wealth operates on the same principle. When you release it in faith, you create space for more to flow in. When you circulate it through giving, investment, and generosity, it multiplies, creating greater abundance not only for you, but for all who are touched by its movement. Fear of loss convinces people to hold back, to grasp what they have tightly, but in doing so, they interrupt the law that ensures increase. Giving does not deplete wealth, it activates it. A farmer who hoards all his seed in fear of losing it will eventually starve, but the one who sows his seed sees it return in multiplied harvest. Money is the same. It must be put into circulation to grow. Every act of giving is a seed sown into the fertile soil of the universe, and the harvest always comes, though often from unexpected directions. Circulation also frees wealth from being a source of anxiety. When you understand that money is a river and not a pond, you stop fearing its departure. You know that what flows out must flow back in, often increased. This trust creates peace, allowing you to release money joyfully for needs, pleasures, or acts of kindness, confident that the law of circulation will replenish you. In this way, wealth becomes a tool for freedom and blessing, not a burden of fear. The richest lives are those in which money is allowed to flow with purpose. To hoard is to live small, but to circulate is to expand into greater abundance. Generosity opens channels that fear could never discover. Each gift, each act of giving, each circulation of wealth sends a signal to the universe that you trust its infinite supply, and that trust is always rewarded. Wealth that flows out in love returns multiplied, ensuring not only financial growth, but a deep sense of harmony with the laws of life. Abundance is your divine inheritance, because it is woven into the very essence of who you are. From the moment of your creation, you were endowed with access to infinite supply, for you are connected to the source of all that exists. Just as a child does not beg for the love of its parent, but receives it naturally, so too are you meant to receive the blessings of prosperity, peace, and fulfillment without struggle. Many live under the illusion that they must prove their worthiness, work beyond measure, or sacrifice joy to obtain wealth. But the truth is that abundance was already granted before the first step of the journey. It is not something to be earned. It is something to be recognized and claimed. This inheritance is not limited to money, though money is one of its expressions. It includes joy that no circumstance can diminish, health that allows you to move freely, love that surrounds and uplifts, and peace that anchors the soul. When you see abundance as your rightful inheritance, you release the false belief that you are separate from supply or unworthy of it. Just as air surrounds you without limit and light shines upon you without asking for payment, so does abundance await your acceptance. The universe withholds nothing, but it does not force its gifts upon those who will not open their hands to receive. The mistake many make is believing that abundance is reserved for a select few, the fortunate or the gifted. In reality, it belongs to all because all are heirs of the same infinite source. The difference lies in awareness. Some claim their inheritance boldly through faith, affirming their connection to infinite supply, while others ignore it, allowing fear, doubt, or old beliefs to keep them from what is already theirs. The key is recognition. When you recognize yourself as a rightful heir of abundance, you begin to live differently, speak differently, and act with greater confidence, and life responds to that recognition by releasing wealth that has always been waiting. Consider how the natural world demonstrates this inheritance. The trees do not labor to produce leaves. The flowers do not strive for beauty. The rivers do not struggle to flow. They simply express the abundance of life according to their nature. In the same way, your nature is abundance. To live in scarcity is to live in contradiction to who you truly are. Your desires for growth, wealth, and fulfillment are not selfish cravings, but reminders of the inheritance you are meant to claim. When you align with that truth, life begins to arrange itself in your favor, opening doors, multiplying opportunities, and sending supply through channels both expected and unexpected. Abundance is your birthright, and no external condition can revoke it. Though appearances may suggest lack, the deeper reality is unchanging. You are heir to infinite riches. The moment you accept this truth without hesitation, you activate the flow, and abundance in all its forms begins to manifest around you. Declaration activates prosperity because spoken words are not idle sounds, but creative forces that shape reality. Every time you declare something with conviction, You set in motion invisible laws that respond to the vibration of your words. The universe operates like fertile soil, and your declarations are the seeds planted within it. If you plant seeds of lack by speaking of hardship, scarcity, or limitation, you invite those conditions into your experience. But when you declare wealth, growth, and success with faith, you plant seeds that cannot help but bring forth a harvest of prosperity. The difference between a life of stagnation and a life of increase often lies in the language one chooses to speak daily. Declarations are more than positive statements. They are commands directed toward the unseen power that governs all form. When you say, "I am in harmony with infinite abundance," you are not merely wishing. You are establishing alignment with the flow of prosperity that already exists. This alignment begins to rearrange circumstances, attract opportunities, and magnetize resources. The spoken word has authority because it carries intention and belief, and when repeated with consistency, it imprints itself upon the subconscious mind, which in turn directs actions and expectations. What you declare becomes what you prepare for, and what you prepare for becomes what you receive. Many fail to see results because their declarations are inconsistent or half-hearted. They may affirm abundance one moment, but speak of fear and lack the next, thereby neutralizing the power of their own words. True declaration requires unwavering faith, a steady conviction that what is spoken is already accomplished in the unseen. When you declare with certainty, you act as if the result is inevitable, and life has no choice but to reflect that conviction back to you. Declaration also shapes identity. By affirming statements like "I am prosperous," "I am a magnet for opportunities," or "money flows to me with ease," you begin to embody these truths internally. The subconscious mind accepts repetition as reality, and soon your behavior, decisions, and energy align with the identity you have declared. Prosperity then becomes a natural outcome because your entire being operates in harmony with abundance. Without declaration, the mind often drifts into old patterns of doubt and fear, but with it, you anchor yourself firmly in the vibration of wealth. The power of declaration has been known across ages. Ancient teachings, sacred texts, and spiritual traditions all point to the creative force of the spoken word. Speech shapes destiny because it calls forth the unseen into the seen. Just as an architect uses blueprints to design a structure, your declarations are blueprints for the reality you will inhabit. Every word spoken in faith lays a brick in the foundation of your future. To remain silent or careless with speech is to leave your prosperity to chance, but to declare boldly and consistently is to take hold of your divine right to abundance and command it into expression. Expectation brings proof because what you anticipate with unwavering belief must eventually manifest in your experience. The mind acts as a magnet, and expectation is the charge that determines what is drawn into your life. When you hold steady expectation for abundance, you begin to notice opportunities that others overlook, and your actions align unconsciously with the very outcomes you desire. It is not wishful thinking, but a spiritual law at work. As you expect, so shall you receive. Expectation is faith in action, the inner assurance that the unseen supply will reveal itself in perfect timing and perfect ways. Those who live in constant doubt rarely see the evidence of prosperity, not because abundance is absent, but because their expectation blinds them to its presence. A person who expects lack prepares for lack, speaks of lack, and notices only the conditions that confirm it. In the same way, a person who expects increase prepares for increase, makes room for it, and recognizes even the smallest signs of it as confirmation that more is on the way. The universe reflects the dominant expectation, whether for good or ill, and life arranges itself to match the vibration of what is held most firmly in mind. Expectation shapes behavior as much as it shapes thought. When you expect success, you move with confidence, take bold steps, and welcome opportunities. Others sense this energy and respond in kind, offering support, trust, and open doors. When you expect failure, you hesitate, shrink back, and act with uncertainty, and the world reflects that timidity by closing doors or presenting obstacles. The difference between progress and stagnation often lies not in talent or resources, but in expectation. Those who expect abundance find proof of it everywhere. Those who expect lack find proof of it just as easily. The power of expectation can be seen in everyday life. Imagine waiting for a guest you know will arrive. You prepare the space, set the table, and make ready because you are certain they are coming. Your preparation is a demonstration of your expectation. In the same way, when you expect prosperity, you prepare for it mentally, emotionally, and practically. You organize your finances, expand your vision, invest in your growth, and clear away limiting beliefs, all because you know abundance is on its way. The act of preparing in itself accelerates the arrival of proof, for it signals to the universe that you are ready to receive. Expectation is never passive. It is an active force that shapes thought, directs energy, and compels action. To expect without doubt is to hold a spiritual contract with the unseen, one that cannot remain unfulfilled. The proof always comes because expectation anchors faith in reality, drawing what is invisible into visibility. As soon as you expect without wavering, the universe aligns itself to provide evidence, and what once was hoped for becomes the tangible manifestation of your belief. The secret to endless financial growth is not hidden in the world outside, but alive within you. Align your thoughts with abundance, speak words of prosperity, trust the flow of infinite supply, and expect without doubt. When you live by these truths, wealth ceases to be a struggle and becomes a natural expression of who you are. Prosperity is not something you chase. It is your inheritance, and it is waiting for your recognition.